Hello everyone, this is John Fawcett, meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service office serving southern New Mexico and far west Texas. The time of this briefing is about 10 p.m. Wednesday, September 14th, and the subject matter, potential for severe thunderstorms, mainly along and east of the Rio Grande Thursday afternoon and evening. Worst case scenario would be large hail, $half size, maybe even golf ball size. I said worst case scenario, and that would cause damage to vehicles and structures, mainly along and east of the Rio Grande. Same thing with wind gusts, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts causing structural damage, and further east yet, we'll say Hudspeth County, eastern Otero County, the moisture could be deep enough to support heavy rain producing flash flooding. The Storm Prediction Center, they're on board. It is not common for them to cover our area with a threat of severe weather, even though this is one of their lower categories, their lowest category, in fact, marginal threat. But hey, for us, that's a big deal. So they're looking at along and east of the Rio Grande, as we have been saying, for Thursday afternoon and evening. Well, what's the big deal with these thunderstorms compared to several that we've seen most of the summer into the beginning of fall? Well, look at those green arrows. That's moisture at the lower levels coming from the south and southeast. Well, higher up, look at that reddish-orange arrow. Fast winds aloft from the southwest. So if you have your winds veering from southeast at the low levels to southwest and faster yet aloft, that's what we call vertical wind shear. That makes your thunderstorms grow stronger and produce severe weather at times. And that was 9 a.m. before the surface heating can really give you some lift. By the time you get to Thursday at 6 p.m., you still have that vertical wind shear. You still have the moisture at least as far west as the Rio Grande, but you do have dry air pushing in from the west, keeping the threat much lower west of the Rio Grande. And as we get into the midnight hour, you still have moisture from the southeast according to the computer models, and the wind shear has backed off a little bit, not quite as strong aloft. Dry air trying to push in from the west, but it's being held off. So when you lose your surface heating, you lose your severe threat, but thunderstorms at this time still rolling. Okay, we've lost our background map, but this tells you everything. The star there is El Paso. The dry air has pushed in from the west and overtaken the area. The threat for not just severe weather, but even thunderstorms is probably mostly gone at this time and off into the Texas South Plains. Uncertainties. Will the moisture layer be deep enough? And how far west will the sufficient moisture be? We think along and east of the Rio Grande. And how quickly will the moisture be pushed east? I would normally would think late evening, overnight, but the computer models are holding that moisture further west, so the thunderstorms may persist well into the overnight hours. And then how far west will the favorable wind shear be? The upper winds from the southwest, no-brainer, covers the whole area. It's the southeast winds with the moisture down low. How far west will that go? Now, currently, we don't have any products in effect concerning this, but that's because it's late Wednesday. Once you get into Thursday, let's give it to you in the order of likelihood. Most likely, there will be severe thunderstorm warnings issued, and most likely east of the Rio Grande, or perhaps along the Rio Grande Valley. Flash flood warnings further east, where you get the deeper moisture. And then even less likely would be a severe thunderstorm watch from the Storm Prediction Center. And then finally, there's that tiny threat of a tornado warning, but we can't totally discount that because if you get supercell thunderstorms, well, that's always a threat. So repeating that worst case scenario, vehicle and structure damage from large hail and damaging wind gusts, plus flash flooding, most likely further east, but hey, that is something that is often overlooked when people are looking at lightning and damaging winds and stuff. That flash flooding can be a killer. Thank you for watching this, and remember our Facebook and Twitter presence, our web page, and make sure you keep an eye on the weather. There might be an update, but it's getting pretty late into the scenario here.